Welcome into a breakdown of the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, we have a game. The Packers have a game this weekend against the Minnesota Vikings. So I've just taken a look at the coach's film, doing a little bit of scouting. And first thing that stands out is the Kevin O'Connell offense. It is working quite well. Darnold at QB, also doing a very nice job. And I'll just break down some plays. I'm not going to go into too much depth, but this is just something that I've noticed on the film that you might want to expect when we play the Vikings. So they do a good job here of moving Jefferson across. So he's going to be crossing the formation, and notice the change in coverage once he gets over to the other side. So he's heading in motion here. He gets followed and they bump out. So they've switched here, but now you've got off coverage. All right, so you're going to see a ton of moving around Justin Jefferson to give him easy plays. And this is just a quick speed cut out at the sticks, first down, nice play. The next thing that you're going to want to pay attention to are these condensed sets. This has been kind of the rage here in the early season with some of the better offenses. And that's essentially going to be, looking at the Saints early on in the season. They've been doing this a ton, but these condensed sets are very problematic for the defense, and it's mainly because you have so much potential for your outside receivers. They're not limited. All right, if you have your receiver outside the numbers, there's only so many routes that you can do, right? You can do a fade, you can do a post, right? You can do an in, you can do a slant, you can do a quick out, right? There's only so many things you can do. But by lining them up inside the numbers, that just opens up anything, right? You can do a quick out, you can do a corner, you got to do a deep out. It opens up so many things by being condensed in the numbers that it puts a lot of stress on the defense. All right, and we're going to see this here on this condensed set. You've got to play outside leverage here as a corner, all right? But then, he's going to set you up, right? He's selling that vertical route, and then all of a sudden puts a foot in the dirt, and he's crossing, and in a cover three, right? He's setting up that leverage, and four's got to travel with him, and he's not able to do that. So just a deep crosser there. Of course, great route by Jefferson. He sees that he's got outside leverage, still takes somewhat of a vertical stem, a little bit towards the outside, just fades it, and then makes a sharp break and an easy completion for the Vikings offense. So that's something to pay attention to. Those condensed sets allows the offense to do a little bit more with their receivers. Next play, this is just going to be how quick they get out of the huddle. So in the red zone, it's just, again, I've shown this before, but getting out of the huddle quick, getting set up, you got two stacked receivers, you can just see the defense scrambling. All right, they get out of their break, like, oh, we got to match up here. You got to identify the players, and then guess what? You're expecting Jefferson on the outside. Nope, we don't have Jefferson out there. We got Aaron Jones and Jefferson's in the backfield. All right, so trying to identify all of that, getting quick out of the huddle, it is very difficult for the defense, and it's just going to create problems for the defense. So Aaron Jones comes open underneath after a great bluff by 86. Right, so it's this mesh concept that we saw against Philadelphia. They did it quite well, but it's just going to open up. Boom. There's no way that this defender is going to be able to travel with Aaron Jones, and it's just an easy touchdown for the Vikings. So this Kevin O'Connell offense is a little bit scary. Here we've got a little bit of a trick play that's coming up, but it gets all of your playmakers involved, right? So you've got Aaron Jones in the backfield. We know him quite well. We've got Jefferson here, and this is going to put a lot of stress on the defense because those are two players that they're going to key on, and you're going to throw a trick play at them like this. All right, little toss. Aaron Jones has touched the ball, so you already have some movement. These linebackers are actually doing quite a good job. We've got man coverage deep. Safeties have good eyes here, so this was well played by the Texans. And then you get that reverse action to Jefferson. So now he's got the ball, and they do a good job here of staying contained, right? Even though the ball has now been flipped back to Darnold, and this guy already ready to contain in case Jefferson does keep it. So they do a good job here by the Texans defense, it could have potentially been a bigger play. And then you throw it up, and I think they get away with a very, very cheap call here. This gets a flag thrown for interference, and I do not see the interference at all. But ball ends up going to the 1 yard line here. So very, very tough situation for the Texans. They played it quite well, but unfortunately that flag came out of the pocket for that. And this will be the last play that I show about the design, the play design. So there, again, you have Jefferson in motion, and there's nobody there. Ball is out, right? So this just creates confusion. He's wide open in the flat. There's nobody there. If this is a perfect ball that is a first down and more, hits him in the hand, but he's not able to reel it in. You can see Kevin O'Connell there, very unhappy, very devastated. But if we break it down a little bit, you've got this bunch formation. So there's already bunch rules for these three guys, right? Guarding these guarding the receivers rather that are coming out of the bunch. But instead, you're just going to motion him out, right? So it's no longer a bunch. It's just kind of a close trips. And there's not going to be time to communicate how they're going to change that, right? So both of these guys assume that they're going to take that number 2, but nobody takes the new number 1, which is Jefferson, and he's just going to get wide open at the sticks. Just a great play design there by Kevin O'Connell, and unfortunately didn't work out for them. The other goal of Kevin O'Connell is just getting the ball to playmakers. Here we'll focus on Aaron Jones. This is just play action, screen, gets the ball in the open field, and a big gain. So this is just something that he's going to continue working on. Aaron Jones, great player. Justin Jefferson, we've already seen a ton of. All right, so he's just going to try his best to get the playmakers the ball. And here we're going to see another great play to Jefferson. We've seen this a lot. 2 vertical routes, occupying the deeper coverage, and then a dig underneath, and a nice first down. So you've got those 2 clears. You've got those 2 vertical routes, occupying those high safeties. It's going to open up the bottom middle of the field, and a nice dart there. Now, what the Packers can do is capitalize on these mistakes by Sam Darnold. He's had a few things go wrong, and they just haven't harmed them yet. All right, so this is a little bit of an underhand toss. It ends up being ruled incomplete, but it's something that he probably shouldn't even be trying. He should probably just take this sack at the point, but tries to roll out, tries to get a play, underhands it to Aaron Jones, who's trying to block. Luckily, that is a forward pass, and it's incomplete. And we've got another shot here that should have been a turnover. But we got a tight end there running a fade, throws it into double coverage. It gets batted away. Both of them obviously communicating, both the defenders communicating, thinking that each one should have had it. But Darnold has been making these mistakes, and it just hasn't been hurting the Vikings yet. So if the Packers want to succeed, they need to make sure that they can capitalize. And for the Packers, this is obviously the Texans D-line, but we're going to focus on how the D-line needing a big day is going to help the Packers. If they can get pressure from the interior, this is a very good job by Settle, the defensive tackle for the Texans. He's just going to get a great push on the inside here against Bradbury and pushes him back into the QB. So Devontae Wyatt, Kenny Clark, our guys on the interior, they're going to have a big day against Minnesota to be disruptive and try to prevent this Minnesota offense from flowing as well as it has been. Now onto the defensive side of the ball of what to expect from Minnesota. This is just the Flores design. So you can see the pressure in at the start, then the motion happens, then you've got more pressure. So you end up getting a tip here. Phillips does a very good job of getting his hand up, tipping this ball, and it gets picked off. But that's something that Flores has been doing very, very well, is either showing pressure and not sending pressure, showing pressure, sending pressure, or not showing pressure and sending pressure. It makes it very difficult for the offense to understand what your tendencies are. So he's very, very unpredictable. And I'll show that when I look at the cover zero looks and how Minnesota is able to flourish from those types of looks. So they've also been running, at least against the Texans, they've been running a bear front, right? So you've got 3 head up here, and then you've got 2 edge rushers as well. So you're showing essentially 5-on-5, but you keep tight ends in on both sides, right? So it's really up to the offense to determine the protection. So are all 5 going to be rushing? At the start, all 5 are now rushing, but then you're going to have one of them drop out. So this is something that Flores tries to do, tries to get you to account for as many people as possible, right? And it forces the quarterbacks to process a little bit more. And it's a little bit difficult when you're coming out of play action. If there's so many moving parts after the snap that you then have to read, right? So things are going to take a little bit longer. And again, just coverage downfield is pretty solid as well. So Flores is making things tough on offenses. Another thing that you'll want to pay attention to during the game is looking at the trenches, because anytime there is a motion, the defense is already trying to counter that motion, right? So you've got the defensive line that is shifting constantly. So again, it's trying to give the offensive line different looks. Maybe they've already set their pass pro, and then all of a sudden there's a shift that happens. So you're trying to mess up anything that the offense does. So you see that shift there. Then you have a blitzer comes in, and he's got to get picked up by the running back. Running back does do a good job, and they get a first down here, but that's something that you need to be on the lookout for. All right, so now we're getting into these 0 looks. So you can see Flores loves to have this many guys at the line of scrimmage because it makes it confusing for the offense, right? They have to be able to think about who they're going to leave unblocked in this situation. And you can see one of them drops out. The other one, number 24 at the bottom, is in man coverage in case there's a check down. They do get a completion here and a first down, but this is just kind of the different looks that Flores is going to try to present. Okay, and we have it here again. So we've got that same look, but something different is going to be happening. So we'll watch this play out. Good jump by 52. Could have potentially been offsides, but you can see there was a dropout by both 43 and 44. Right, so they don't actually bring any additional pressure. You just have a 4-man rush, but you're already disrupting the play because the offensive line has to communicate who they're getting. So that was a 3rd and 12, and it makes it very, very difficult for the offense to figure out who they have to pick up, right? And center just gets blown by here. And the 2 droppers are able to make a play there short of the sticks. And then here we go. We've got one more look. Got all those guys at the line of scrimmage. What's going to happen? I got to try to set the protection here. Oh, 2 dropouts. One comes off the edge. Fires a ball in. So it forces the quarterback to recognize that pressure and react accordingly. So in the NFL, if you can make the quarterback think for a half second longer, it gives your defense a much better chance. I think this is why Flores constantly gives these types of looks to be very, very confusing for NFL QBs. And last thing that I'll show, obviously they're not invincible, so there's going to be a cover 1 here, motion the receiver on the inside, does essentially a circus route, and he's going to be able to beat the corner. All right, so you got cover 1, you've got man, he's able to get that corner, and you can get those nice deep shots. So this defense, although they've been playing very well, they aren't necessarily invincible. There are some plays that you can get. You can get big chunk plays against them, but it is going to be difficult. So if we're talking about the keys for Green Bay this game, obviously the pass pro has to be solid. You have to have your communication down. You have to be ready. You know they're going to show you a bunch of different fronts, so you have to be ready for whatever they're going to throw at you. Next, your post-snap process has to be quick. All right, so you can't be holding the ball for more than 2 seconds. You got to be thinking quick on your feet, get the ball out, recognize where the blitz is coming from, see if you can throw where that empty gap is going to be in the defense. And then defensively, obviously you need to focus on Justin Jefferson. Anytime you watch the tape, he is all over, right? See it here in this clip again, but he's just all over and causing problems for the defense. there's only so much that you can do. He is going to make plays. We've got Jair looking forward to this matchup, but he is going to make plays. So you just have to try to limit him as best you can. And the other thing, play smart. Try to avoid penalties. Packers are one of the most penalized teams this year. The Texans, when they play the Vikings, had a ton of penalties as well, and that created problems for themselves. So try not to kill your own drives. Play smart. Avoid those penalties. And what to expect? I think Minnesota, offensively, they're going to try to abuse our linebackers. So they're going to be looking for the middle of the field, right? Trying play action to draw our linebackers up and hitting those dig routes behind them. Moving Jefferson around, getting him into favorable matchups for them. I don't know if the Packers are going to travel with Jair. I don't think that he will, because he would be tired if they travel the entire game. Of course, with Flores, he's going to be unpredictable. He's going to show you different fronts. He's going to play mind games with you. So you have to be ready for that. I think it could potentially be a messy game, but we'll see. And then for the Packers, offensively, Matt LaFleur, obviously the game plan is going to be determined by who is coming out to be quarterback. Is it Malik Willis? Is it Jordan Love? Don't know if Love will be 100% healthy. Don't know if that's necessarily going to be something that they want to push through if he's not 100% healthy. And then if you've got Malik Willis, you've got to play to his strengths again. So I think they've got, inside the building, they definitely have a plan. But if we look at the pros of either quarterback, Love gives you better processing after the snap, right? He can better handle this Flores defense. He's seen it twice. Whereas Willis, if things break down and he's not processing as fast, he's got that better mobility. He's going to be able to make a play afterwards, right? So you've got to weigh these pros and cons for the football team and figure out who's going to give you the best chance this week to win. So I'm not going to give a final prediction. I think Minnesota at the moment is the better team, and we'll see on Sunday if that ends up being the case. Look forward to seeing this game, and hopefully the Packers are able to pull it off. Of course, it's always go Pack go, but I like to look at the film, be a realist, and we'll see if the Packers are able to take down the Vikings this week. So if you guys enjoy this type of content, please subscribe. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.